Have you ever looked at the calendar on the wall and felt your brain completely short circuit? Like, wait a minute, it was just January and we're eating holiday leftovers and now suddenly it's next year? Where did the months go? Did someone put the calendar on a treadmill? Well, don't worry, you haven't gained time travel powers by accident. Life genuinely feels like it's moving faster than rocket-powered cheetah. But here's the ultimate head scratcher. We live in the future. We have robot vacuum cleaners, buttons that bring pizza to our door in 30 minutes, pocket computers that let us watch millions of videos instantly. By all logic, we should be the most relaxed, chilled out humans ever to exist. We should have all the free time in the world to just lie in a hammock. Instead, most people feel like a tired potato that's been left in the microwave too long, rushed, exhausted, and super bored but stressed at the same time. For a really long time, smart science folks blame this on something called routine compression theory. That's just a fancy way of saying that if you do the exact same boring thing every single day, wake up, brush your teeth, go to work, eat, sleep, repeat, your brain gets bored and stops recording new memories. It's like your brain is trying to save storage space by deleting the boring parts, making your entire year look like one big blurry smudge. But in 2025, a brand new scientific study completely flipped the table on that idea. Researchers looked at data from thousands of people and found out something totally mind-blowing. Feeling like your life is flying by like a jet plane isn't always a bad thing. In fact, people who felt like time was zooming past were often the happiest, growing the most, and making the best memories. It turns out the feeling of time flying is a giant trickster. It can mean two totally opposite things. It can mean your life is awesome and full of fun adventures, or it can mean you're completely running on empty. The problem is, our poor modern brains are terrible at telling the difference. We look back at how fast the year went, see that we are totally exhausted, and think, oh no, I didn't achieve anything, I'm a failure. So why does your calendar feel like a runaway roller coaster? And why does daily life feel less satisfying, even when you're doing everything you're supposed to do? To understand why our brains are melting, we have to look at the secret forces controlling us. From our ancient caveman survival instincts to the little glowing rectangular monster sitting right in your pocket. Let's look at the data and see how we can finally hit the brakes on time. Think about it. When was the last time you asked a friend or a parent how they were doing? And they looked at you with a giant smile and said, honestly, I have absolutely nothing to do today. I've just been staring at a cool rock and I'm loving it. The answer is probably never. In our world today, the ultimate bragging right isn't being happy. It's being tired. The standard human response to how are you is now a loud dramatic sigh followed by, oh, I'm just crazy busy. Why do we do this to ourselves? Because humans have turned being busy into a weird status symbol. It's like a game where the person with the most packed schedule wins. We think that if our calendar is completely full, it means we are important, super smart, and totally winning at life. If you have dead time, which is just free time where you aren't doing anything productive, society makes you feel like a total slacker. If you aren't constantly studying, working a side hustle, making money, or cleaning something, a little voice in your head starts whispering, oh, you're falling behind. Everyone else is lapping ahead of you. But this constant race has a massive hidden psychological price tag, and your brain is the one paying the bill. Super smart researchers from Harvard Business School wanted to see what this constant hurrying does to our minds, and they found a hilarious but sad irony. The exact second that trying to look busy turns into actual time stress, your mood and your life satisfaction completely break down. And here's the absolute craziest part of the data. This happens even to people who say they love being busy. You might tell yourself, oh, I thrive under pressure. I love having millions of things to do. But guess what? Your biology says you're lying. Your brain is secretly crying in the corner. We act busy to fit in the crowd, and then we wonder why we feel like a zombie at the end of the week. Let's look at the numbers. If you divide your day into 3 neat blocks of 8 hours, you get 8 hours for sleep, 8 hours for school or work, and 8 hours of personal time. Sounds fair, right? But the modern hustle culture tells us that those 8 hours of personal time are a waste of space. They tell you to use that time to build an empire, learn 3 languages, and become a millionaire before you turn 12. But when scientists look at the brain scans of people who are trying to optimize every single minute of their day, they see something terrifying. The brain's prefrontal cortex, that's the front part of your brain responsible for making good choices, completely overheats. It's like trying to run the heaviest, most graphic intense video game on an old dusty laptop from 20 years ago. Eventually, the fan starts screaming, the screen freezes, and everything crashes. By trying to squeeze twice as much life into our days, we aren't actually living twice as much. We're just making our memories twice as blurry. So what's the fix? If being too busy melts our brains, then the solution must be simple. Give us all the free time in the world. Everyone has had this fantasy. If I could just quit work, throw my calendar in the trash, and do nothing forever, I'd be the happiest person alive. Well, science has some bad news for your vacation plans. Total absolute free time is actually a giant trap. The American Psychological Association, they ran a massive study to find out exactly how much free time makes a human happy. And the results form this perfect upside down U-shaped curve. If you look at the far left side of the curve, having less than 2 hours of free time a day makes you super stressed and cranky. No surprise there. But look at the far right side. If you have more than 5 hours of free time a day with absolutely nothing to do, your happiness drops just as fast. That means having nothing but free time makes you just as miserable as being completely overworked. Wait, what? How is that even possible? When humans have too much time with zero structure, our brains do something super weird and annoying. Because we evolved to be active and helpful to our tribe, having nothing to do makes our brain think, we aren't doing anything important. We must be totally useless. Without a goal, a schedule, or something cool to work toward, your brain stops producing the chemicals that make you feel good. Instead, you enter a state called existential drift, which is just a fancy way of saying your brain gets trapped in a loop of questioning your entire existence. Most people think they want endless summer vacation, but science proves that a life with zero structure feels completely empty. The sweet spot is actually super small, around 2 to 5 hours of free time a day. And the secret isn't just sitting there like a lump on a log. It's using that free time for meaningful leisure. That means doing things that are fun but actually take a little bit of effort, like learning a song on the guitar, reading a book, playing some sports with your family. To really understand why a packed calendar makes us feel so hollow, we have to travel back in time and look at our earlier biology. In 2024, scientists did a big study on something called time poverty. That's the terrible feeling that you have a million things to do but only 2 minutes to do them. And they discovered that this feeling triggers a super deep, ancient survival alarm inside your body. When your brain looks at your giant to-do list and realizes there isn't enough time to finish it all, it panics. That a missed work meeting won't actually kill you. Your ancient brain thinks you are failing to manage your environment. So it switches your entire body into what evolutionary biologists call a fast life history strategy. In the wild, when an animal senses that food is running out, danger is everywhere, or the environment is totally unpredictable, its body makes a drastic choice. It turns off long-term mode, which controls things like deep learning, relaxing, repairing your cells, and building nice relationships. And it turns on short-term survival mode. This means that feeling rushed all the time isn't just a minor annoyance that you can fix with a prettier planner. It is your ancient primitive nervous system treating your busy schedule exactly like a physical famine or a predator attack. Your body genuinely believes it is fighting for its life. This keeps you in a constant state of low-grade fight or flight, which burns through your energy, makes you super cranky, and completely steals your ability to enjoy the good things in life. If our brains are already stressed out by our crazy schedules, our technology is standing right next to us, waiting to exploit that weakness for cold hard cash. And it all comes down to a single, heavily misunderstood chemical inside your head: dopamine. Most people think dopamine is a brain happy chemical, the reward you get when you eat a delicious slice of cake or win a game. But neuroscientists have proven that dopamine isn't about happiness or satisfaction at all. Dopamine is a chemical of anticipation. It's a chemical of wanting, not having. It doesn't activate when you get the prize. It activates when you think you're about to get the prize. It doesn't say, "Wow, this sandwich tastes awesome." It says, "Hey, look over there. If you check your phone right now, you might find something mind-blowing." The apps on your phone, like infinite social media feeds, video recommendations, notifications, were carefully engineered by literal geniuses to exploit this exact chemical loop. They flood your brain's dopamine system while making sure you never actually reach a point of feeling satisfied. Every single time you swipe down to refresh a feed, your brain gets a tiny hit of dopamine on what scientists call a variable reward schedule. That is the exact same mathematical trick used to design highly addictive casino slot machines. Sometimes you scroll and find a hilarious meme, but most of the time you find something boring because you never know when the next good post is coming. Your brain becomes obsessed with looking. Because you are always waiting for the next piece of news, the next funny video, or the next notification, your brain gets trapped in a perpetual state of searching. You keep pulling the digital lever over and over again, watching entire hours melt away in what feels like mere minutes and mistakenly calling it relaxing. But when you finally turn off the screen, you don't feel rested. You feel hollow. Now you might be thinking, well, sure, but I have super strong willpower. I can control myself. I put my phone face down on the table when I have dinner with my family, or I keep it on silent next to my computer while I'm at work. Well, according to peer-reviewed data from National Institutes of Health, that is nowhere near enough. Your phone is still hypnotizing you, even when it's completely quiet. Cognitive scientists discovered a terrifying phenomenon called the brain drain effect. The data shows that the mere physical presence of a smartphone within your eyesight or easy reach drastically reduces your brain power. This happens even if the phone is turned 100% off, totally silent, and flipped face down. But how can an off phone make you less smart? Because your brain has to spend constant active energy forcing itself to ignore the phone and suppressing the urge to pick it up. Part of your brain is constantly screaming, "Phone, phone, phone," while the rest of your brain is trying to focus on your work. It's a quiet mental wrestling match that happens without you even realizing it. Think about what this does to the actual quality of your life, the amount of focus and presence you bring to your daily life, the funny conversations with your family, the delicious taste of dinner, the book you're reading, or your creative hobbies is constantly being dragged down and ruined by the phone's gravity feed. When your attention is permanently fractured into a million little pieces, your brain becomes unable to form deep, vivid memories. And guess what? Without those rich memories, your brain has no anchor points when it looks back at the past. Your time alive feels like a hollow, hyperspeed blur because your brain literally didn't record the details. So far, we've actually reported way less life satisfaction, way more negative emotions, and way higher rates of feeling sad and depressed. Why? Because by constantly checking your happiness temperature, asking yourself every 5 minutes, am I happy right now? Is this fun? Could this moment be better? Am I wasting my time? You create a crazy, impossible standard that real life can almost never beat. When you're constantly trying to optimize your fun, you kill the fun completely. The relentless culture of self-optimization isn't the cure for our modern stress. It is actually one of the main things causing it. If filling our lives with endless busyness doesn't work, and chasing constant free time or consumer happiness fails, What on earth is the actual antidote to this hyper-speed, unsatisfying life? The clearest, most solid finding from modern psychology points to a single beautiful concept: remembered growth. Data consistently proves that if you feel like you haven't grown or changed during a period of your life, that is the number one predictor of feeling unhappy. That is what causes the haunting, scary sensation that your time has vanished into thin air. Life doesn't feel slow and rich because you packed your day with 50 random activities or checked off every item on your to-do list. Life feels slow in the healthiest, deepest way possible when you can look back at the year and clearly see that you became a fundamentally different, wiser, kinder person. The main question you should be asking yourself at the end of the day, it isn't, did I get enough things done? It's, did I actually change? The common thread running through all of this, that weird feeling deep in your stomach that something is just not right, is what psychologists call the meaning-making gap. That's the widening distance between what we fill our daily time with and what our brains actually care about. If you want to slow your life down and reclaim your satisfaction, you don't need a new productivity app, a better calendar layout, or a vacation to a fancy beach. You need to put your phone completely out of sight. You need to stop wearing busyness like a plastic badge of honor. And you need to close the meaning gap by stepping off the acceleration treadmill, choosing depth over speed, and focusing on real internal growth. Because life is way too short to spend it pulling the lever of a digital slot machine and calling it living. The days are going to keep on moving no matter what. The only question left is whether you're actually going to be there to live them.